This week, conspiracy and blood. But first, on the 7th, Major General Stonewall Jackson of the Confederacy attacks Dam Number 5. He hopes to deprive the Chesapeake and Ohio Railroad Canal of water, though it's also been used as a bridge to transport engineers to repair the previously damaged by Jackson Baltimore and Ohio Railroad. Plus, this dam is used to transport coal, which is a major way that the Union runs its trains, which could slow down the Army of the Potomac's supply line. But, luckily for McClellan, Stonewall Jackson's attack is utterly useless, and the dam is basically the same in a couple of hours. 2 days later, strange request, the White House hears from Ohio's 3rd Representative, Clement Vallandigham. Vallandigham is a copper Democrat, anti-war, pro-Confederacy, and he's a rising star within the ranks. He's actually been getting a lot of political power, even in the Republican-held Congress. Will Lincoln's hand be forced on this one? While Vallandigham sees Lincoln as a tyrant, he doesn't hold negative views about the rest of Lincoln's administration. Edwin Stanton, an advisor to Secretary of War Simon Cameron, is a good friend of Vallandigham. Despite them sharing very different views on slavery and the ongoing Civil War, they do still have a very strong bond. Lincoln is panicking. Could Stanton be a mole for the Copperheads? Let's talk more about politics, shall we? The current Congress is the 37th. It has passed the Revenue Act, which has created the first income tax in U.S. history, and the Confiscation Act, which has been used by Union generals to free slaves and hurt the Confederate supply lines. But these are acts of Congress. Lincoln needs both the House of Representatives and the Senate on his side. And that's not always so assured. Since the 1860 election, there has been, of course, special elections and new general elections for territory that the Union has brought back in. And the Democrats don't win, the Republicans don't win, the Whigs don't win, the Know-Nothings don't win, the Unionists win. The Unionists have a single issue: keep the Union together. And that means they're unpredictable. Lincoln can't really rely on their support. If they don't believe he's doing the best job possible, they will go against him. And then Vallandigham is securing his friendships with some Republicans who are a little uneasy about Lincoln's leadership. Plus, the Maryland legislature, which he had arrested earlier, was not unpopular with the Marylanders. Their congresspeople are a little bit angry at him. Not to mention, strong northern states with huge populations, like Ohio and Pennsylvania, aren't as pro-Union as they first seemed, and Republican leaders have been huge targets. The last Speaker of the House, who was a Republican, lost his seat, and the current Speaker of the House, who's also a Republican, is in a very risky district. If you become a leader of the Republican Party, you are a target. They're just not as well established, so they're not as well connected. They don't have as much keeping them together. On the 9th, we move from the possibility of blood to the event of it. Chief Opotheyahola and Colonel Cooper of the Confederacy meet once again in Tulsa County, Oklahoma. You see, Opotheyahola was on the run after his previous defeat, but Cooper has caught up. Opotheyahola is caught on one side of a river, and he desperately needs to cross to the other. He has no supplies and no reinforcements. He has his men set up at the bottom of the creek, hoping to use the lower end into it as possible cover. And for many hours, Cooper just throws himself at Opotheyahola. He hears the sounds of gunfire. Some Native Americans use arrows. Again, Opotheyahola is low on gunpowder, any sort of musket balls, and muskets. So they really just use anything they can find. But I did say for 4 hours. Opotheyahola has to withdraw in a pretty panicked retreat to the other side of the creek, and the battle is over. Now let's go to those always accurate casualty reports on Native American battles. Opotheyahola lost anywhere from 9 to 500 men. The Confederates lost 15 to 30 dead, 37 wounded, and possibly 400 deserters. Not much is known about Native American battles. They are very underreported, and many newspapers don't think that people are interested in them, which is quite sad because they have proven to be decisive in both the New Mexican territories and, of course, in Indian territory. The next day, the Confederacy accepts Kentucky as the next state in the CSA. Kentucky is kind of useless for the Confederacy. Confederate Kentucky has very little territory or manpower. I mean, it's another state, but it's a state without land or people. Are you sure people want to hear about this? I mean, it has nothing to do with the Civil War. Okay. On the 10th, the First Baptist Church sells its land to John T. Ford. Ford wants to build a theater there. Ford Theater does have a ring to it. And let's not forget about Sickles. If you remember last week, Sickles was enthralled by the hot air balloon display. And this week, he gets another trip. He goes up, spying on nearby Confederate camp, and then he hears gunfire. Yes, the Confederate skirmishers were able to spot the general by his epaulets. But Sickles is safe. He's flying too high, and the gunfire doesn't even come close to him. Whew. I know, close call. This week, there was a lot of unconnected events. General Jackson with his unsuccessful attack on Union infrastructure. Opotheyahola as he continues to lose battle after battle in Indian territory. And Ford's Theater, which I don't even know I mentioned. But the main thing of the week is Vallandigham. He is a powerhouse in the House of Representatives, which actually is kind of lucky for Lincoln. The House of Representatives is way more legitimate looking than the Senate. But even then, during this time, Congress is a group of friends. They might disagree on a few things, but buddies stick together. And Lincoln is already walking a pretty fine line. His cabinet comes from a diverse group of people. There are some pro-union, pro-slavery men, and some pro-union, anti-slavery men. He's already trying so hard to appeal to every unionist, and he's just not being able to. There are many in both the Congress and Senate who fear that President Lincoln might become Dictator Lincoln or King Lincoln. And they aren't only Copperhead Democrats. Some Republicans feel misled and poorly led. The defeats at Bull Run and Wilson's Creek are laid squarely at the feet of the Commander-in-Chief. And McClellan has been given some secret reports to congressmen, telling them that Lincoln is not letting him fight the war the way it should be. Lincoln is being attacked by the courts, who find him to be a tyrant just waiting to happen. Congress, who can only agree on one thing, and that's Lincoln is terrible. The military, which he's supposed to be in charge of in every single way, just doesn't think he's doing a good job. And his own cabinet is split on him. He has been encircled on all fronts. Will we be able to find a way out? Well, we'll have to wait till next week. Hello, it's the entire Civil War Week by Week team here. If you liked the video, please like it. If you want to see more, there should be a playlist of the entire series up till now so you can get all caught up. And If you have problems with commitment, there should just be a suggested video. Please subscribe if you want to see more about how this deadly conflict will play out. If you don't subscribe, I'll just tell Lincoln about your treasonous ways. Lincoln!